thank you all for everything you've done to make this happen and to further the ongoing ministry that is an extension of a ministry that started many, many years ago. Some of you might not know some of the history, so I'm going to share it with you. This just didn't happen in the last year or even the last few years. These seeds were planted many, many years ago. And I will share some of that with you tonight because I think it's just really neat to see how God used so many different people through so many different ministries over 24 years to bring this to fruition. In 1996, Somerville Baptist Church started a jail ministry to the ladies. It was two ladies, Miss Vida, many of you know Miss Vida Duke, she went home to be with the Lord a couple of years ago, and Sandra Borden. And I'm told that Vida would sing and Miss Sandra would preach. So that's how it started. And they were just faithfully doing what God asked them to do. Somewhere along the line, I don't know the exact timing, but the men started going as well. And so these seeds were planted in the heart of our church way back then, a heart for the jail ministry. In 2012, we began to go into the Morgan County Jail with the Bible-based addiction recovery program, Reformers Unanimous, which most of you are very familiar with. This gave us an even greater opportunity to make a more profound difference in the lives of the men. In the summer of 2014, we began to bring the inmates to church here on Sunday mornings. They would come, and they still do, well, when it's not non-COVID days, we were still bringing them in, and we would sit up in the balcony. Our volunteers would go get them, bring them back. Many of you cooked many, many meals for them, and went up to the great room and ate with their families, and just showed them how much we love them. This deepened the heart of Somerville Baptist Church for these people that are hurting and have been through difficult times and just need someone to love them and need someone to show them Christ. It was during this time that my husband got a greater burden for these men and ladies. He would tell me, we're missing something. We're doing all of this up to this point, but then when they get out, they're kind of on their own. They don't have anybody, most of them don't have people helping them, discipling them, holding them accountable, encouraging them. So we began to pray. He said we need to start transitional housing for men and women, was his vision. And I thought he was crazy, but I had thought that a lot of times before, so I just began to pray with him about this. And in 2016, and I have asked permission to share these stories from these men. In 2016, Stephen Burks, who is our Hope House director now, he was a resident in a facility called the Sunshine House in Arab. And Stick was going to visit him, and so he invited my husband along. So my husband and Stick went to visit Stephen at the Sunshine House. And in that visit, it was just burning in his heart. It was just confirmed that he needed to do something. And another thing that motivated him was seeing the lives of men who had been helped. In particular, Michael Bell and Stick, two very dear friends and two men that had been through a lot of these same things and had been helped along the way by someone. And he saw just the difference that made in their lives and how they were serving the Lord. So that motivated him to do something as well. So we began to look for property. He began to share the vision with the church. You all started catching the vision like you always do. And we began to pray about a facility. And there was facility that we thought God had for us, but it wasn't the right one, and so it fell through. And then cancer came shortly after that, just a couple months after that, actually. And so we thought, well, should we just drop this? Seems like it's just not working out, but it was always burning in his heart. He would be in the hospital, he would be in the clinic, and he'd be making calls about the Hope House, trying to get something going. And then finally in January of 2019, long story short, this property opened up for purchase, and so many of you gave so sacrificially. We took special offerings, you remember that? And I know a lot of you dug deep to give sacrificially, and we were able to purchase the property. The vision for the Hope House was not only to make a difference in just an individual's life, but in changing and helping change that individual and helping reach souls for Christ. Each soul influences a family and therefore influences generations to come. So these men that will be coming through the Hope House, our prayer is that their whole family and their whole legacy and everything changes for generations to come. I would find things, since my husband passed away, I found a lot of interesting things. Nothing that has disappointed me. Countless prayer journals that your names are in, and that the Hope House is in many, many times. I found the budget. I found the proposed budget that he was working on in 2017 with the Hope House added at the top. And I found, he made lists everywhere. There's lists everywhere. And he made this to-do list. It was really kind of a life to-do list. And number 3 on this list is to see a home started for the men and women coming out of jail ministry. So from him, I would like to thank you for helping make this happen, because it certainly was a dream and passion and something that he felt God wanted this church to do. We currently have 4 residents. One of them accepted Christ last night.
Amen.
So even if nothing else comes from this ever, it was worth it all. Abby and I were talking this week, and I wanted to get some numbers just out of curiosity, really. And we did not start keeping track of salvations through our jail ministry until 2013. But since 2013, there have been 1,912 souls come to know Christ through the jail ministry.
Amen.
The theme verse for the Hope House is Romans 8:36. If the Son therefore shall set you free, you shall be free indeed. 16 years ago when we came here, my husband's prayer and vision for this place was that God would do something that only God could do. You've heard it a million times. And this Hope House is truly something that only God could do. And it's something that only He can help us continue to minister to the community through this. My prayer is that possibly someday we could have a home for women. That was His vision. I don't know, wherever the Lord takes the church and wherever the leadership decides. But that is certainly a prayer that I think we could all be praying about. And I'll leave you with one last thought that I know my husband can't speak to you today, but if he He would tell you how much he loves you. And he would thank you for always following the vision that was laid out according to God's plan. And he would tell you it's always about Jesus. It's always about the gospel. Always, always, always.